I love making ravioli from scratch, but sometimes I'm a little bit time poor, so I like to cheat just a little bit. Instead of making my own pasta, what I like to do is use wonton wrappers. They're already rolled out for me in the circles, ready to be filled with a delicious filling and then folded over to put into a sauce. Now I'm going to do a classic agrodolce sauce here with a pumpkin and parmesan filling with a delicious burnt butter with raisins and capers. I know, this is so yummy. Let's get on to the filling first of all. In here I've got a little bit of pumpkin. This is 400 grams of butternut pumpkin that's been cubed, and I've roasted that for about 20 minutes until it's really soft and slightly caramelized. That goes into a little food processor just like this one, with 2/3 of a cup of cottage cheese. Now I like cottage cheese for this because it's going to keep it really light and fluffy. So 2/3 of a cup measured out, perfect. And for some saltiness, some parmesan. I want a good handful of parmesan in there. And I'm going to keep some for later for the garnish. I'm going to add some sage to my filling. 3 to 4 leaves of sage. I'm just going to gather them, roll them up, and I'm just going to chiffonade this, which just means cut into fine strands. Perfect, that can go in. And a good amount of nutmeg. Now use fresh nutmeg. Perfect. Now a little bit of salt, just a pinch. And a good crack of pepper for this. Great. Now I'm going to place the lid on, lock it into place, and now I'm going to blitz this until it's quite fine. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, look at that vibrant colour. That's good enough to eat as is. Now you can make this filling ahead of time, put it into a container and then just keep it in the fridge until you're ready to use it. It also freezes really well. Now these little wonton wrappers, they're perfect for this, so I'm just going to line them up. I've also covered the wonton wrappers with a damp cloth just so they don't dry out. So I'm going to start with a few. Let's start with 6. Cover that up. Now I need a little bit of glue for this, so just 1 egg. Take 1 egg out and just pop it into a bowl. I'm going to give it a really good whisk. Okay, now that that's ready and our filling's ready, we can start making this. I use 2 teaspoons and we'll get a small amount of our mixture. Don't overfill it. That's the biggest thing with ravioli. If it's overfilled, it will burst. So a small amount in the centre. And then I'm going to use a pastry brush just to lightly brush around the edges. And now we're just going to fold this over, just like that, trying to take as much air out as we can. And using your 2 thumbs to make a triangle shape is the best way to press down on this. Now you can see that that's a half moon shape. And just for extra assurance, you can use your fork just to press around the sides as I'm doing here. Easy. First one done. Now I've got a bamboo steamer basket here. These are perfect for these ravioli. I've also put a little bit of baking paper for some extra assurance so they don't stick. And then I'm going to place the ravioli around this basket until it's full, and then we can start steaming this. Now I've placed my wontons on a wok that has a little bit of water underneath it, and they're going to steam gently for about 3 to 4 minutes. And now I can get on to my sauce. Now you need a nice big pan just like this one to make this burnt butter sauce. I'm going to start with a little bit of butter, and I don't want my pan to be too hot. You can see my thermo spot in the centre is not completely red, which means it's at the perfect temperature to burn this butter, so it's at a medium heat. 1 piece of butter, this is around 20 grams. I'm just gently letting that melt away. When you're making burnt butter, the key things to look at is, of course, the butter frothing up. So it's going to get really, really frothy. When it starts to foam up and make a little bit of noise, you know that it's almost turning to beurre noisette or burnt butter. In my burnt butter, I'm also adding some capers and some garlic. So the garlic, I'm just going to bruise and finely slice. I don't want to mince this at all because I do want it to be a little bit chunky for this recipe. And some walnuts, a good handful of walnuts. and roughly chopping this. Now these are going to go into the very last minute so they don't go soft. We want to keep that crunch in the walnuts. Perfect. And you see I don't have too many ingredients here because the sauce is all about this burnt butter. Now for some sage, a small amount of sage. I'm just going to finely slice that. Perfect. And then a few more ingredients, some raisins for some extra sweetness. This will really show off the sweetness of the pumpkin too. So a handful of the raisins, just separate them a little bit. And now we're ready. Now you can see here that it's changed a little bit of colour. So in with the garlic, in with the capers, that's the saltiness. Just give that a nice toss. And now I'm going to turn the heat off, add the raisins. Oh, that smell, the capers starting to warm up in that pan is sensational. And now for that sage, that can go in. And we're talking about agrodolce, which means sweet and sour at the beginning of this recipe. The sour element is going to come from a little bit of vinegar. So a hint of vinegar in now. And that's the sauce ready to go. That heat is turned off now, so all we need to do is wait for our pumpkin wontons to finish steaming, and then they can go into this sauce. Now that is the sauce done. Let's have a look at these dumplings. They really only need 2 to 3, 4 minutes maximum. Oh, they look good. And I'm just going to use 2 spoons here just to pop them straight into the pan. So let's get all of these in. All right, we can now add that handful of walnuts. And now we give that a really good toss. So all of that coats those yummy wontons. And then to serve up, I'm just going to arrange a few of these raviolis in the plate, pile that up, and then with a spoon, I'm going to scoop up some of that sauce and all those yummy little bits and pieces, sprinkle around the plate. Perfect. And then last but not least, I did reserve some parmesan crumb to finish it off, just a little sprinkle around, and that's it. I'm going to dig in to these gorgeous little raviolis. Oh, have a look inside. See all that pumpkin there? Gorgeous. Oh. 10 out of 10. Having a catering business always makes me think,